All right, team, we are live here on Eat Sleep Suplex Retreats YouTube channel. Can you believe Stephen Wilson let me go live? I can't either. It is I, the GOAT David Campbell, joined by the pile of washing I've got behind me. Try and divert your eyes away from that. GOAT's got to live. Don't forget, check us out on all our social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at Suplex Retweet. You can go and check us out on our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get your podcasts, everywhere. Go and find us. Our main show is ESSR Central, and of course we do our feature shows usually on a Tuesday, but just want to inform you here, this show will kind of be in correlation with our feature show this week, which will be on WWE's drafts. It'll be on the history of the draft, and those guys will be predicting who they think will go where on Monday night's episode of Raw. So the second pool of the draft, I hear at the Conspiracy Theory, I'm covering night one. I'm covering the first pool. We've got Friday Night SmackDown on the 9th of October 2020. So that'll be what this show is about. Normally I'm looking at speculation and making wild accusations. I'm playing within a very specific sandpit here, a very specific set of rules. So we'll see how that goes. But at any point in the show, if you want to chime in with your comments, send them in to me, and I will read them out live on air, and I'll tell you if I think maybe I agree with you, or maybe if I think you're an idiot. Scott McLeod's already saying this gobshite again, and to which I say, tune in next week to see how I get on against him and Quiz Showdown 4 also on this YouTube channel. But without further ado, we're going to get into the draft. All right, we're going to get into night one. They've released, Fox Sports have released the pool of people that will be eligible for drafting tonight. So what I have done, usually what happens is it's rounds of 5, so Raw gets 3 picks, SmackDown gets 2. I've literally just went through and drafted myself what I think is going to happen in each of these rounds. So without further ado, let's get into round 1. Raw will get first pick, and I think the first overall pick for Monday Night Raw will be none other than the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre. I can't see Drew leaving Raw. I think he's done a really, really good job considering the circumstances at leading that brand since everything that's happened with the pandemic and so forth. And I think there's stories to be told with Drew and Raw. Obviously, he has this Hell in a Cell match coming up against Randy Orton. But after the draft, when I look at what else I've got going on here and what I think might happen in night 2, there'll be a stream of new challengers to Drew down the line. So I think Drew McIntyre is a safe bet to stay on Monday Night Raw. And so too is the number 2 pick, the first for SmackDown, Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has been the hottest commodity in the company right now since they turned him heel. And a lot of people can be saying, should have done this years ago, should have given in to what the fans wanted and turned Roman Reigns heel. But in a way, it's nice that we've had to wait for this like top level Roman Reigns heel run, and now we've got it. They're playing this really, really good Tribal Chief storyline. Obviously we've got Jey Uso challenging him at Hell in a Cell, so we'll see what happens with that. But I don't think SmackDown, and more importantly the executives at Fox, I don't think they're going to be wanting to lose Roman Reigns from that show. So Roman Reigns is the first pick for SmackDown, takes us back to Monday Night Raw, and I see the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, going at the number 3 pick. She is the Raw Women's Champion. I can't see them doing any weird swapping of the belts, like Bayley becomes the Raw Women's Champion because she goes to Raw, and Asuka likewise to SmackDown. I can't see that happening. I think Asuka's going to stay on Monday Night Raw. She's going to continue leading the women's division there. And I think we've talked about the talent pool on both Raw and SmackDown's women's division being a bit lacking recently. Obviously, she had feuds with Zelina Vega, but I do think that she'll have maybe more interesting and challenging competitors competing for that title going forward. But I think she's going to stay on Raw. Likewise, Sasha Banks, star of the upcoming season of The Mandalorian, will be going to SmackDown, or staying on SmackDown rather. Big storyline coming up with Bayley. That's going to dominate Hell in a Cell. And if Bayley's staying in SmackDown, so too is Sasha Banks. Could do a weird thing where Sasha goes to Monday Night Raw and then has to win the Rumble to get back to facing Bayley, but I don't think that's going to happen. We do have a Facebook user. What are your views on the rumours that Teddy Long is going to be SmackDown GM again, or was that just a dream? Teddy Long, great SmackDown general manager. I can't see him coming back to the company, but who I can see staying on SmackDown is the boss, Sasha Banks, which takes us to the end of round 1. the final pick in round one will be the first change in brand for a superstar. And I think it'll be none other than AJ Styles. He's my pick for after Drew's done with Randy Orton. He's going to move on to a WWE title feud with AJ. And I think AJ Styles goes to Raw immediately, has that credibility. I know he's just lost the IC title match. Fantastic ladder match there at Clash of Champions against Jeff Hardy and Sami Zayn. But I feel that AJ Styles has the right pedigree, and him and Drew will put on masterclasses in the ring, I think, as well. AJ Styles to Monday Night Raw to finish out round one. But what do you guys think? Do you think that's how round one's going to go? Would you do anything differently? Leave your comments and we'll get to them. Leave them in the super chat. We'll see what's happening. But round two now. And I think Monday Night Raw are going to go for volume, perhaps, but quality as well, because one of the biggest groups that's came out of Monday Night Raw in recent memory has been the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and the recently joined Cedric Alexander. I hope these guys don't get embroiled in the Retribution stuff too much, because Retribution's been a bit mishandled with the reveal of Ali being their leader. Maybe that could be picking up, but everything the Hurt Business has been touching it is turned to gold, and that's saying something considering they've been stuck in dead-end feuds with like the likes of Apollo Crews and Ricochet for the last couple of months. Those seem to be like quite boring and own same old matches, but any segment involving these guys, think about the Raw Underground Takeover, think about the promo work that MVP is doing in these VIP lounges. Hurt Business are amazing, and I don't think they're going to leave Monday Night Raw because there's 3 hours to fill, and these guys can do stories that will go throughout the show and keep a thread going throughout a show. So that's why I think they're going to Raw. Another big change will be Seth Rollins going to SmackDown. As Daniel Campbell asked, should WWE rehire Right to Censor? I missed them. I miss Right to Censor too, but I don't think they will rehire Right to Censor, Daniel. I don't think that's happening, but I do think Seth Rollins will go to Friday Night SmackDown. It was noted recently that since the original 2016 draft, Seth Rollins is one of the guys who hasn't actually switched brands, so I think it'll be good to get Seth Rollins out of that scenery. He's no longer the top guy on Monday Night Raw. He doesn't have to fill that slot. That's Drew's burden to bear. And I do think that outside of Roman Reigns on SmackDown maybe is perhaps missing another top heel to go against their baby faces over there, and I don't think there's anyone better for that than the Monday Night Messiah. And I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world to see perhaps a mini Roman Seth interaction, whether that's a mini feud between Seth and a new group of disciples and Roman's tribe or something like that, or maybe perhaps Seth Rollins forms an alliance of sorts with Roman over there on SmackDown, or maybe he'll do his own thing. I think he'll be great challenger in the Intercontinental title scene as well. Maybe he forms a tag team. That, as we know, the tag team divisions in both brands are a bit lacking right now. But I do think Seth Rollins will go to SmackDown. It's been heavily rumoured that it's a jump that's going to happen, so I'm agreeing with that here, putting him over to SmackDown. Women's Tag Team Champions Baszler and Nia Jax will be going to Monday Night Raw, in my opinion. I've got a question here in the chat. What about the Hurt Business on SmackDown, given how hot they are? I think it would be good, but like it's one of those things. You've got Roman, the rumours of a Roman heel stable on SmackDown. Are you crowding it too much at that point with heel stables? That's why I do think they'll end up staying on Monday Night Raw. And it's the thing about the 3-hour show as well. The fact that Raw does have that 3 hours to fill. The Hurt Business are really good for utilising that 3 hours, which is why I think I'm sticking them over there. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax will stay on Monday Night Raw with the women's tag team titles, because most of the women's tag teams are situated in that brand, and I know they say that they should be going from brand to brand, they should be defended everywhere, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, but that rarely happens, and it mostly is on Monday Night Raw, again, because of that 3-hour time slot that they've got. So I think Baszler and Jax will be on there, and on SmackDown, the New Day, obviously Kofi and Xavier injured right now. Woods has been announced as the host of Talking Smack, so he has a vested interest in that brand, and I don't think that they will be taking Big E's singles push elsewhere. There's been a lot of rumours that if it's not The Rock, then it could be Big E who challenges Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Could see a Big E Royal Rumble win. So I think if you've got this insurgent babyface, it will be better for him to be on SmackDown, because we have the heel champion there, Roman Reigns, as opposed to a potential Drew Big E match down the line, which would be babyface versus babyface. And I do think Drew is ultimately being groomed to face off against Keith Lee instead. I think that might be his big match coming up. But the final pick in round 2 that I have is Heavy Machinery going to Raw. That's right. I think regardless of whether Otis wins his trial or not, whether he keeps that briefcase. I think Heavy Machinery are raw bound and joining Mandy Rose over there. I think the thing with Otis is he needs Mandy as a character. That's how he got over that relationship with Mandy Rose. To stop me, who would you draft from ESSR to first time films is the question there. Not Scott McLeod, because it would fight too much. We would have too much competition. Check out Quiz Showdown 4 coming out. Perhaps Ross. Ross has appeared a couple of times and definitely knows his movies. So let's say his brother Ross. Will bring Ross over. But Heavy Machinery over to Monday Night Raw. I think that the problems with the Money in the Bank briefcase have became really apparent recently, that WWE doesn't quite know what to do with it. And I think Otis cashing in on Drew is more plausible to me than Otis cashing in on Roman. So I'm going to say Heavy Machinery to Raw just on that basis. That's the end of round 2. And round 3, kicking off with a bit of a surprise, because I've talked about the tag team division. This tag team might be primed for splitting up, but I do think they could have a couple of good matches before that. But before I reveal who that is, we have Pam here. Do you think there'll be NXT call-ups in the draft? Just from my math here, I can't see it happening in night 1, because I think they have the 5 rounds are completely filled. They could do a wild card thing with NXT. They could have people come up on the Monday. I haven't done the math for Monday. That'll be something for Jack and the boys to figure out, but I don't think it'll happen tonight on SmackDown. That's my prediction. I don't think we'll have any NXT call-ups tonight on SmackDown. But what I do think will happen is the Lucha House Party will go to Raw. Kalisto, Gran Metalik, and Lindsay Dorado, all of them will go over there. They have this breakup feud pending, and I think they could continue that story on Raw, because the Street Profits do need new opponents to go up against. It seems like they've been feuding against the likes of Andrade and Angel Garza for what feels like an eternity now. So I think a brief feud, maybe a month or so feud, Lucha House Party versus the Street Profits, trading wins back and forth and furthering this tension between the party, could be something that's good. It would give us exciting matches, because the Lucha House Party, they've been a bit of a joke, but at the end of the day, they are very talented performers, as are the Street Profits, particularly Montez Ford. So I do think Profits versus Lucha House Party is something that has legs. So that's why I'm predicting them going over there. Someone who needs a jolt. But before I get to that, Scott's saying Sasha Banks to Raw, leaving Bayley to feud with a returning Eva Marie and a grown-up Izzy. As much as I'd love to see that, Scott, and add in Linda McMahon with a chainsaw, and I think you have the best women's stable in the history of wrestling there. I don't think that's going to happen. We have another Facebook user. We've seen the likes of Balor, Dane, Breezango, and Mungo to NXT. Do you think others will join? Again, it's hard to say from this pool that I've been given for night 1. It doesn't look as though the maths will see anyone go down to NXT, unless the likes of, I've just mentioned the Lucha House Party there. Perhaps Kalisto leaves the group and goes back to NXT. Perhaps it's Metalik. Perhaps it's Lindsay Dorado. I don't know. Just from the maths here, I can't see it happening for Pool 1. Who would I like to see go down to NXT again is a different question altogether, because I think there's a number of guys who could be utilised better in that brand. And one of them I've actually got going to SmackDown as my next pick, and that is Ricochet. Since coming to WWE, particularly the main roster, Ricochet has not been used to his main potential. Even in NXT, he wasn't given the main belt. He wasn't put in that main event scene. He wasn't pushed to the upper echelon, and he was rushed up to the main roster in a makeshift tag team with Aleister Black. With a lackluster debut like that, it's hard to blame Ricochet for not fulfilling his full potential. Yes, he had a match against Lesnar, but that was a time filler before Lesnar eventually got to Drew, and we all knew that. I think he needs a clean slate. Now, I've got him here in SmackDown. Just referring to that last question, I think Ricochet going back to NXT would be fantastic. Imagine Balor Ricochet for the NXT title would be amazing. But I think Ricochet to SmackDown is what will happen. So to Mandy Rose to Raw, staying on Raw. She recently transferred over there. I think it would be stupid, although I wouldn't put it past WWE to send her immediately back to SmackDown. But I think a reunion, like I said, with Otis is necessary. Mandy and Otis got over together. To split them apart when you're wanting Otis to have be a main event contender doesn't make sense to me. Naomi stays on SmackDown and Bianca Belair stays on Raw to finish out that third round. I think the women's divisions do need a bit of a shake-up, but get Naomi back sooner rather than later to challenge in that scene again. We know how talented Naomi is. Bianca's got all these promos going on Raw right now, and I don't see them heavily hyping her on Raw for the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden to say, oh no, she's actually going to SmackDown. That just doesn't make sense, I think, from a storytelling point of view. But again, can't put anything past WWE. Into round 4, I have the Mysterios, Rey and Dominic. They are eligible to be drafted as a pair. I think they will stay on Raw. Jey Uso similarly will stay in SmackDown. Murphy will go to Raw. Now, I'm dealing with those 3 picks together because they're all storyline orientated. Obviously, Jey Uso to SmackDown. He's in this feud with Roman right now. And I think after that, there's rumours that he will continue to be involved with Roman in some way. So I don't see them separating him from Roman entirely, because I have Roman and SmackDown and putting them there. Rey and Dominic and Murphy. I think the Murphy storyline with the Mysterios can still play out with the absence of Seth going to SmackDown. There's a reason to split up that tandem, and there's a reason that there's a refocus here on Murphy and the Mysterios as regard to Murphy, Seth, and the Mysterios. And I think the relationship with Aaliyah that Murphy is developing, is as creepy as it might be, will lead to a different development in this storyline going forward. Perhaps a tag team between Dominic and Murphy, as unlikely as it seems, isn't outside the realms of possibility. Aaliyah uniting her brother and Murphy together and then managing that team is good storyline potential. Would give us another tag team on Raw. I don't think there's anyone better in that roster to guide Dominic as his tag team partner than Murphy. I know we've seen him with Humberto, but we'll get to Humberto in a minute. Murphy would be much better. That's all I'm going to say in the matter. SmackDown, I've got Mickie James. I think she needs a clean slate again. She would be an asset to the SmackDown Women's division and could give us, if Sasha Banks, my prediction is Sasha loses at Hell in a Cell and goes away until the Rumble. Placeholder feud, Bayley versus Mickie would not be the worst thing in the world. We know how good Mickie James can be. Going back to even WrestleMania 22 against Trish Stratus, Mickie James is a fantastic competitor. Bayley versus Mickie as a placeholder feud would be the reason I'd put her on SmackDown. Raw, I've got Angel Garza staying there. I don't know what the plans will be for him coming back from injury. I think they'll be separate to the plans from Andrade. I think that tag team has run its course, but Angel Garza is, many people have said, like a modern version of Eddie Guerrero, whose birthday it is today. Rest in peace, Latino Heat again. And we've got Scott McLeod actually talking about his son, Dominic, say that in quotation marks. Dominic versus Murphy. Love her or leave her match at Survivor Series. Shades of Shane McMahon and Test there. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but we could, I would retort back to that, Scott. I think you can still see the tag team happen after that. We've seen what happened with the Bar, a best of 7 series that ended with a tie, rivals becoming allies, and I think Dominic and Murphy perhaps maybe fighting to a time limit draw at Survivor Series and then deciding we might be better as partners. Perhaps Aaliyah is right. Perhaps you're not too bad. That's a storyline I could see happening, but I do like your thinking, and it would be a fantastic match at Survivor Series, Dominic versus Murphy, which gets us into the last round of the draft for night 1. I've got Drew Gulak going to Raw. He's been showing up there in the 24/7 title scene. Don't think that's going to change. I think that's where he will be ending up. SmackDown, I've got Elias. Elias's status is unknown right now with injury and stuff like that. Elias is a good pair of hands, man. He's a fantastic promo. He is a solid in-ring worker. And it's a shame that the last couple of years have been unkind to Elias. Injury-wise, I love Elias. I think he's fantastic. And he has potential. I don't think he's had a title run on in WWE as of yet. So it's something I would like to see is Elias holding the Intercontinental Championship by the end of the year. Perhaps we can see that with Elias on SmackDown. To Raw, I do have a change-up. Shorty G going over to Raw, which I don't like to hear already, because as much as I love Chad Gable, I can't see them doing anything really with them. If Raw Underground starts up again, great, because Chad Gable has the amateur wrestling acumen to go into Raw Underground the same way Dolph Ziggler did and put on a bit of an amateur wrestling clinic in there. But in terms of what I think will actually happen, I could see Chad Gable or Shorty G being cannon fodder for the likes of the Hurt Business or perhaps even Retribution. It doesn't bode well for him. Humberto's Carrillo I've put to SmackDown, mainly because I thought the other 24 picks would go to the place that they go. I don't care about Humberto Carrillo. I don't think WWE's given me a reason to care about Humberto Carrillo. I'm sure Humberto Carrillo is a lovely guy. I don't mean to bash his work. I don't think it's his fault, but he's been presented as a piece of butterless toast, and my lips are dry. don't want that right now, Humberto. Last pick I've got in the round is Dana. Dana, let's get excited because I think Dana is going to stay on Raw. Got this new team with Mandy Rose. She's got a new lease on life. And I was go back to our feature show or rewatching NXT Takeover, and it was Dana versus Asuka and Asuka's debut match. And here's the thing about Dana. People forget that Dana Brooke is actually pretty talented. She is. She is good in the ring. She has a good look. I just think that she's lost confidence along the way. I think that she is much more effective as a heel. I like the bodybuilder gimmick that she had in her time in NXT, and her tag team with Emma was underrated. They should have had a longer run than they did. I hope they do something with Dana. I really, really do. Again, do I think it's going to happen? No, but oh well, what can I do? I'm not booking the show. But guys, that will be me today. That was the episode of the Conspiracy Theory. I've ran down the pool for night one. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Obviously, it's happening in a couple of hours, so feel free to call me an idiot in the comments below or a genius if I've got it right. Hopefully, fingers crossed I have. Don't forget, guys, check out this podcast monthly here on ESSR's YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out our neighbouring programme on this, Quiz Showdown. Next match coming up a week on Sunday, or this Sunday coming rather, it will be myself versus Scott McLeod. Quiz Showdown for 30-minute Ironman matches. Quiz Showdown goes Hollywood. And we do have a new show that will be coming up to the channel in the coming months. It's called Book It. It's hosted by me. I'm sure you're sick of me, but here we are. And it will pit 8 of ESSR's brightest in a tournament who can book shows the best given the circumstances and the rosters they're given. They will win the matches. It's very, very simple. But look forward to that. Go and check out the feature show this week where those guys will be looking at the draft. They'll be looking at the results of what happens tonight, and they will be predicting what happens on the Monday coming on night 2. So guys, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Really nervous doing this live for the first time, but thank you so much for all your contributions and live chats today. And guys, we will see you very, very soon on the next Conspiracy Theory. Thank you very much.